Your life is not a chain of coincidences. Every significant event, every encounter, every trial carries deep meaning. The family you were born into, the country where you spent your childhood, the people who changed your destiny, all of these are parts of a unified spiritual plan designed by your higher consciousness before birth. The mystery of pre-birth planning. There exists a spiritual reality that most forget with their first newborn cry. Before incarnating in a physical body, your consciousness existed in a special state, a state of absolute clarity and wisdom. There, free from the limitations of matter and time, it could see countless paths of development and consciously choose the most valuable for evolution. Imagine an architect designing a building project. They consider every detail: the foundation, load-bearing structures, communications, design. Similarly, your soul designed the key elements of your current incarnation: place and time of birth, the geographical and cultural context that will provide the necessary experience, family system, parents and relatives through whom you will receive your first lessons, life challenges, obstacles that develop specific character qualities, talents and inclinations, abilities brought from previous incarnations, key encounters, souls with whom agreements for mutual assistance have been made, pain points, weaknesses requiring work and transformation. You didn't just receive this plan, you created it yourself. You were the sole author of your own life's script. Spiritual amnesia. Why forgetting is necessary. From the moment of birth, an amazing mechanism activates: spiritual amnesia. All memories of pre-birth planning are erased from conscious memory. Only a vague sensation remains that there is something more than visible reality. Why does this happen? It would seem much simpler to remember your mission from childhood and purposefully fulfill it. But herein lies the paradox of spiritual growth. When a student knows all the answers in advance, the exam loses meaning. When an actor reads their role from paper, the performance becomes mechanical. When a person follows a prescribed script, their choices cease to be authentic. Forgetting serves three critical functions in spiritual development. 1. Authenticity of choice. Not knowing the right decisions in advance, you make them based on genuine beliefs, feelings, and thoughts. Each of your choices becomes an act of creativity, not the execution of instructions. This is how true individuality is formed. 2. Reality of growth. Muscles grow under load. Character is tempered in trials. Wisdom is born through mistakes and their comprehension. If you remembered the entire plan, there would be no real difficulties, and therefore no real development. Uncertainty is not a bug in the system, but its main feature. 3. Protection of the psyche. Some future events, if known in advance, could break the will to live or distort the natural course of events. Knowledge of upcoming losses would paralyze actions. Foresight of triumphs would breed arrogance. Amnesia protects you from destructive knowledge. But forgetting is not complete erasure. Information doesn't disappear without a trace. It transitions into another dimension of memory. Repositories of spiritual memory. Everything your soul planned remains with you. These knowledges have simply been moved from the realm of conscious mind into deeper levels. The subconscious stores behavioral programs, inexplicable fears, innate talents, spontaneous attractions. Intuition transmits sudden insights, premonitions, revelations, inner certainty without logical justification. Dreams carry symbolic messages, archetypal images, meetings with spiritual guides, visions. The body signals through inexplicable sensations when meeting your people, attraction to certain places, physical reactions to resonant situations. Emotions point through disproportionate reactions to events connected with your karmic tasks. Your task is to learn to read these clues, to become a translator between the language of the soul and the language of reason. Not fate, but direction. The most important understanding: the spiritual plan is not predetermination. It's a map of possibilities, not railroad tracks. You maintain absolute free will in every moment of life. The plan indicates the main themes for study: love, power, sacrifice, creativity, service. But how exactly you will pass these lessons, through joy or suffering, quickly or slowly, consciously or through trial and error, you decide exclusively. The lesson of forgiveness can be passed by forgiving a loved one's betrayal, or it can be passed by learning to forgive yourself for your own mistakes. There are many paths, the goal is one. Moreover, while in earthly incarnation, you are capable of surpassing the original design. Before birth, your soul saw many options but couldn't foresee all possibilities. Human life is full of spontaneity, unexpected turns, unpredictable discoveries. You can grow spiritually far more than was planned. Awakening to the design. The overwhelming majority live life in spiritual sleepwalking. People react to external stimuli, follow social prescriptions, chase material goals, all while unaware of the existence of a deeper level of reality. But there are moments when something clicks inside. A person suddenly stops in the midst of daily bustle and asks, "What's all this for? Who am I really? What's the meaning of my existence?" This is the beginning of awakening, the moment when the soul begins to break through the veil of forgetting. If you're reading these words now, awakening has already begun. This is not random interest. Your soul has brought you to this information because it's time to remember, time to transition from unconscious living to conscious co-creation with your higher design. Awakening happens gradually, in waves. First wave, questions about meaning, dissatisfaction with previous answers. Second wave, interest in spiritual teachings, search for knowledge. Third wave, synchronicities, significant coincidences that can no longer be ignored. Fourth wave, direct messages through dreams, intuition, signs. Fifth wave, readiness to consciously work with your spiritual plan. Which stage are you at? Practical approach to awakening. Restoring connection with your spiritual plan doesn't mean remembering the past in detail. It means developing a new quality of attention to what's happening with you right now. Your soul speaks to you constantly. Through people it sends on your path, through circumstances it creates, through repeating situations requiring attention, through emotions, dreams. Synchronicity. Your soul has never stopped speaking to you. It constantly whispers, sending signs through channels that your rational mind often ignores or dismisses as coincidence. But coincidences don't exist in the spiritual universe. There are only synchronicities, messages disguised as chance. The first sign you need to recognize is synchronicity. Those moments when you think of someone and they call 5 minutes later. When you're facing a dilemma and suddenly hear exactly the answer you need in a conversation between strangers in an elevator. When you see the same number again and again for weeks, or when books, movies, and random conversations begin to share a common theme that speaks directly to your current situation. I remember a time when I was completely lost about a career decision. For 2 consecutive weeks, every conversation I had, every movie I watched, every song on the radio talked about the courage to follow your own path. Even a child on the street was playing "Follow Your Heart" with their toys. My soul was practically shouting, "Look, this is what you need to do." Dreams. Dreams are another powerful channel. Your soul uses the dream state because that's when your rational mind is turned off and you become more receptive to symbolic messages. Recurring dreams are especially significant. If you constantly dream of flying, your soul may be reminding you that you were born to break free from limitations. If you frequently dream of teaching or healing others, this may be an echo of your greater purpose. But not all signs are subtle. Sometimes your soul sends messages through intense physical sensations. Have you ever entered a place and felt strange energy, as if you'd been there before, or met someone and experienced an immediate sense of familiarity, like a reunion? This isn't imagination. These are soul memories, recognizing connections that exist beyond this life. Intuition is perhaps the most direct signal your soul uses. That inner voice that warns you when something isn't right, even when all facts seem favorable, or that nudges you to do something that doesn't make logical sense but later turns out to be perfect. Your intuition is literally your soul whispering instructions based on knowledge of your contract. There are also signals through emotional patterns. Have you noticed that certain situations trigger disproportionate reactions in you? Perhaps you feel deep anxiety when you see injustice, even minor or inexplicable joy when helping others. These intense emotional reactions are your soul recognizing elements of your purpose. Repetitive blocks are also important signs. When you try to follow a path that doesn't align with your contract, the universe puts up obstacles not to harm you, but to redirect you. If you constantly face difficulties in a certain area, your soul may be trying to show you that it's not the right path for you. On the other hand, when you're aligned with your purpose, everything flows almost magically. Opportunities appear, the right people cross your path, resources materialize. It's as if the universe conspired in your favor, because it actually does. Your deepest fears also carry messages. Often what we fear most is directly related to what we came here to do. Fear of public speaking may indicate that your soul chose to be a voice inspiring the masses. Fear of not being loved may signal that your mission involves teaching about unconditional love. People who appear in your life are also signs, especially those who come at crucial moments and trigger major transformations, or those who deeply irritate you. They often reflect parts of yourself that need work, aspects that are part of your planned growth. Even your inexplicable likes and dislikes are clues. Why have you always been fascinated by a certain culture, historical period, or type of knowledge? Why do certain colors, sounds, or places evoke nostalgic feelings in you? These preferences may be connected to past life experiences that influence your current contract. The most important thing is to start paying attention. Your soul constantly sends signals, but you need to step out of autopilot to notice them. Start keeping a synchronicity journal. Write down your dreams. Observe your emotional patterns. Listen to your intuition. Patterns. Have you ever stopped to analyze the patterns that repeat in your life? Those recurring themes regardless of external circumstances. Let's start with relationship patterns. Do you always attract the same type of people? Always face the same conflicts in different relationships? Always assume the same role, the savior, the rebel, the mediator? These patterns reveal central aspects of your soul contract. If you always attract people who need help, your soul may have chosen to develop compassion and healing abilities. If you constantly face situations where you need to defend others, perhaps your mission involves being a warrior of light, someone who protects and fights for justice. If you always find yourself mediating conflicts, your soul may have come to learn and teach about harmony and diplomacy. Professional patterns are also revealing. Are you always drawn to jobs involving helping people? Or do you always seek leadership roles? Perhaps you always stand out in creative activities or feel called to work requiring technical precision. These natural tendencies point to skills your soul brought from other experiences and wants to develop further. Recurring challenges. But not all patterns are positive on the surface. Some are recurring challenges your soul chose to face. Do you always struggle with self-esteem? Always face financial difficulties? Always feel misunderstood? These aren't punishments. They're growth opportunities you designed yourself. Think of it this way. Your soul is like an athlete in training. It doesn't choose easy exercises. It chooses exactly the challenges that will develop the spiritual muscles it needs to strengthen. If you constantly face situations that test your patience, it's because your soul wants to master that virtue. If you constantly go through losses that test your faith, it's because your soul wants to develop unwavering trust in the universe. Family patterns are particularly important. Do you always take on the role of the responsible one in the family? Are you always the rebel, the one who keeps everyone together? Your family is literally the first school your soul chose, and the role you play there reveals a lot about what you came to learn and teach. Let's also look at patterns of loss and gain. Do you always lose and regain the same things? Do you always achieve something only to have to start over? These cycles may seem frustrating, but they are actually spiritual exercises. Your soul may be learning about detachment, the temporary nature of material things, and your ability to rise again. Health patterns also carry messages. Do you always have throat issues? Your soul may be working through truths that need to be expressed. Constant back pain? You might be carrying responsibilities that aren't yours. Recurring digestive problems? Perhaps your soul is learning what to accept and what to reject in life. Even timing patterns are meaningful. Do you always arrive late or always too early? Do things always happen at the last minute, or are you always over-prepared? These patterns reveal how your soul relates to time and control. The key is to observe these patterns without judgment. It's not about right or wrong, it's about understanding. Each pattern is a gateway to understanding aspects of your soul contract. When you recognize a pattern, ask, what is this repetitive experience trying to teach me? Often the most challenging patterns hold the most important lessons. Your soul isn't interested in easy experiences. It's interested in real growth. That's why it chooses the challenges that will expand your awareness in specific ways. Once you identify a pattern, you gain power over it. You can consciously choose how to respond the next time it shows up. You can ask, how can I use this situation to grow? How can I turn this pattern into wisdom? Remember, you are not a victim of your patterns. You are their architect. Your soul created each one with a specific purpose. When you understand this, patterns stop being problems and become opportunities for awakening. Regressive meditation. Now that you know how to recognize signs and patterns, it's time to go deeper. Regressive meditation is one of the most powerful tools for accessing direct information about your soul contract. It's like having an intimate conversation with your own expanded consciousness. But before you begin, you need to understand one fundamental thing. These memories have always been inside you. They're not lost in some faraway place. They're stored in the deepest layers of your consciousness, waiting for you to create the right conditions to access them. The first thing you need is the right environment. Choose a place where you won't be interrupted for at least 30 minutes. Turn off your phone, close the door. Let people in your home know. Your soul needs to feel that you are truly available for this connection. Lie down comfortably, but not so much that you fall asleep. Close your eyes and start with deep breathing. Inhale to the count of 4, hold for 4, exhale to the count of 4. Do this at least 10 times, letting your body relax completely with each exhale. Now visualize a golden light surrounding your entire body. This light is the protection of your own higher soul. Feel it penetrating every cell, every organ, every thought. You are creating a safe, energetic field for this inner journey. Descending. With your body relaxed and protected, begin to imagine yourself descending a golden spiral staircase. Each step you descend takes you deeper into your consciousness. Step 1, 2, 3. Continue until you reach what feels like a peaceful valley, illuminated by a soft, welcoming light. In this valley, you will encounter a being of light representing your higher soul, your own expanded consciousness. It may appear as a human figure, as pure light, or simply as a presence you can feel. Don't force anything. Let it manifest naturally. This being of light is you, but in a much broader state of consciousness. It is the part of you that participated in planning your soul contract. Greet it with love and respect. Mentally say, I've come here to remember. I am ready to receive the information I need now. Ask your questions. Be specific. Why did I choose this family? What is my main mission in this life? What lessons did I come to learn? How can I best serve my purpose? Ask one question at a time and wait. The answers may come as images, sensations, words that arise in your mind, or simply as knowledge you suddenly possess. Don't force anything. If the answer doesn't come immediately, don't worry. Your soul may be preparing you to receive the information in other ways in the coming days. The important thing is to establish this conscious connection. If you master this connection with your expanded consciousness and learn to consciously manifest your reality, your spiritual growth will be exponential. Returning to our inner journey during meditation, you can also ask to see specific moments of your soul contract planning. Visualize yourself in a room of light, surrounded by other beings who will be part of your earthly journey. Observe the conversations, the agreements, the choices that were made. This may feel like fantasy at first, but with practice, you'll begin to distinguish between imagination and true soul memory. An advanced technique is to ask to see the past lives most relevant to your current contract. Your soul may show you previous experiences that explain your current fears, talents, and challenges. For example, if you have an inexplicable fear of water, you might see a life where you drowned. If you have a natural talent for healing, you might see lives where you were a healer or doctor. Remember, you're not trying to prove anything to anyone. This is a personal journey of self-discovery. Practice. Even if the information you receive seems symbolic or metaphorical, it holds important truths about your spiritual nature. When you feel the session is complete, thank your higher self and begin climbing the golden staircase back to normal consciousness. Ascend slowly, step by step, bringing with you all the information you received. As soon as you open your eyes, write down everything you remember. Even the details that seem insignificant may be important. Don't analyze or judge anything in the moment. Just record it. Practice this technique regularly. Like any spiritual skill, it improves with use. Your soul becomes more confident in sharing information when it sees you're truly committed to growth. Over time, you can adapt this technique for specific situations. Before making important decisions, consult your higher soul. Before entering significant relationships, ask whether that person is part of your contract. Before accepting professional opportunities, check if they align with your purpose. Spiritual tools. Your natural talents are not genetic accidents or random gifts. They are spiritual tools your soul chose to bring into this incarnation. Skills developed over multiple lifetimes and refined specifically for your current mission. Think about it. A child who can naturally calm other crying children didn't learn that anywhere. A person who instinctively knows how to organize groups and lead projects wasn't trained to do it. Someone who effortlessly understands others' emotions didn't study psychology. These are marks of the soul, spiritual fingerprints your expanded consciousness left on your earthly personality. Let's do a practical exercise. Think about the things you've always known how to do well, even without formal training. Those abilities people often comment on. Wow, you were born for this. It might be making others laugh, finding creative solutions to complex problems, explaining difficult concepts simply, or sensing when someone needs help. Natural gifts. Now also observe what gives you energy instead of draining it. You might work 8 hours in an office and come home exhausted, but spend 4 hours helping a friend and feel energized. That happens because the second activity aligns with your natural gifts, while the first might go against them. Your gifts aren't just technical skills. They're also personality traits that serve a greater purpose. Are you naturally empathetic? That's a tool for healing and helping others. Are you naturally inquisitive, always asking questions others don't? That's a tool for awakening consciousness and breaking limiting patterns. Often your gifts come disguised as traits you or others might see as flaws. Are you too sensitive? That sensitivity might be a gift for sensing subtle energies and helping emotional healing. Are you too stubborn? That determination might be exactly what the world needs in someone who will stand up for important causes. Do you talk too much? Maybe your mission is to be a voice for truths others can't express. Do you worry too much? That worry might be a form of expanded care that allows you to protect and guide others. Question. Here's an important question. What did you do as a child that completely absorbed you? Before you learned that certain things were unproductive or had no future, what naturally captured your attention? Did you draw endlessly, care for animals, invent stories, organize games, take things apart to see how they worked? These childhood activities are precious clues because children haven't yet been conditioned to ignore their natural gifts. They instinctively follow what their souls want to develop. Gifts. Returning to our theme, your gifts also reveal themselves through what bothers you most in the world. If you're genuinely disturbed by social injustice, you may have gifts related to leadership and social reform. If you feel disheartened when you see people wasting their talents, you may have gifts for mentoring and human development. If unnecessary conflict distresses you, you may have gifts for mediation and peace building. Your gifts also show up in the compliments you consistently receive. Not the polite compliments people give out of courtesy, but the spontaneous remarks people make when you truly impact their lives. You always know what to say. You have a special way of explaining things. You make me feel understood. These comments are reflections of your gifts in action. There is also the phenomenon of the invisible gift. Some people have gifts so natural to them that they don't realize how special they are. You may think everyone can do what you do, but in reality, you're operating on a completely different level. One way to identify your invisible gifts is to observe what people consistently come to you for help with. If they always seek you out to talk about relationships, you may have natural gifts for emotional counseling. If they ask you to organize events or solve logistical problems, you might have gifts for administration and coordination. Your gifts also manifest through the topics you're most drawn to, even if you have no academic training in them. Are you fascinated by astronomy, psychology, ancient history, nutrition? These interests are not random. They're your soul being drawn toward areas where you have latent knowledge and skills. Remember, your gifts are not meant to be kept to yourself. They are tools your soul brought to contribute to the elevation of collective consciousness. When you use your gifts in service of others, you are fulfilling a fundamental part of your soul contract. Akashic Records. The Akashic Records are like an infinite cosmic library where all the experiences of all souls in all their incarnations are archived. It's the universal database that contains not just your personal history, but also every contract, agreement, and plan your soul has made throughout its evolutionary journey. Imagine a library with no walls or limits, where each book is a life, each page is an experience, and each word is a moment of learning. Your personal records contain everything: your past lives, your current life, your future possibilities, and most importantly, the details of your soul contract for this specific incarnation. The word Akashic comes from the Sanskrit Akasha, meaning space or ether. It's the subtlest element of creation, the primordial substance from which all things emerge. The records exist in this etheric dimension, accessible not through physical senses, but through expanded consciousness. Accessing your records. Now you might be wondering, how can I access something so vast? The truth is, you already access fragments of your records all the time. Every time you have a deep intuition about someone you just met, every time you know something without having learned it, every time you feel an unexplainable connection to a place or person, you are accessing information from the records. To access them more consciously and intentionally, you must understand that the Akashic records are not guarded by external beings who decide if you're worthy. You have inherent rights to your own records. What determines your access is your level of consciousness, your pure intention, and your ability to receive information without distorting it with fear or expectation. The first step to accessing your records is to set a clear and sacred intention. Sit in meditation and mentally declare, I seek to access my Akashic records to better understand my soul contract and how I can serve my highest good and the good of all. This intention is like a key that opens the doors of expanded perception. Next, visualize yourself entering a library of crystalline light. It could be a Greek temple with golden columns, a modern library with infinite shelves, or simply a space of pure light. What matters is that you feel you are in a sacred, receptive place. Ask to be guided to your personal book, the record of your specific soul. You may visualize it as a physical book, a scroll of light, or simply as an energetic presence that holds information. Again, don't force anything. Allow it to manifest in alignment with your inner symbolic language. When you open your records, begin asking specific questions about your current contract. What is my primary mission in this life? What specific lessons did I choose to learn? What are my main planned challenges, and how can I transcend them more easily? What souls did I choose to meet on this journey? And what is the purpose of those encounters? Answers. The answers may come in many forms. Some people receive information as images or scenes from past lives that explain current situations. Others receive direct knowledge. They simply know something they didn't before. Some hear words or phrases. Others feel emotions or energies that carry specific meanings. A powerful technique is to ask to see the moment you planned your current life. Visualize yourself as a pure soul surrounded by other beings of light, discussing and choosing the experiences you wanted to have. You may see which challenges you chose, which family you selected, which talents you decided to develop, and even which specific people agreed to be part of your journey. Past lives. The records can also show past lives directly relevant to your current situation. If you have an unexplainable fear, you may see its origin in a previous experience. If you have an extraordinary natural talent, you may see the lives where you developed that ability. If you have an intense and complicated relationship with someone, you may see other incarnations where you worked together in similar dynamics. But be cautious of a common trap. Don't become obsessed with past lives to the point of neglecting your present life. Past records are only useful when they help you understand and navigate your current situation better. Your soul is not interested in nostalgia. It is interested in evolution. A very practical application is to consult your records before making important decisions. You can ask, is this job opportunity aligned with my contract? Do these relationships serve my growth and the other person's? Does this move bring me closer to or farther from my purpose? Hidden spiritual gifts. The records also contain information about your latent spiritual gifts. You may discover abilities your soul developed in other lives that are ready to be reactivated in this incarnation. It could be energy healing, spirit communication, clairvoyance, or any other gift your soul has previously mastered. Remember that accessing the Akashic records is a skill that develops with practice. Your first attempts may be subtle with fragmented information, but over time and with dedication, you can develop a clearer and more detailed connection. It's also important to keep a journal of the insights you receive. Often, information that seems confusing at the moment becomes perfectly clear weeks or months later when you experience something that confirms what was shown. Always end your sessions with gratitude. Thank the record keepers, your higher soul, and the universe for the opportunity to access this sacred information. And most importantly, commit to using the knowledge received responsibly and with love. Soul contracts. No one enters your life by accident. Every significant person, whether a blessing or a challenge, is a soul with whom you made specific agreements before you were born. These are your soul contracts, and understanding these relationships is key to understanding your overall soul contract. There are different types of contracts between souls, each serving specific purposes in the evolutionary journey of both parties. Some contracts are for mutual support, others for challenge and growth. Some for healing old patterns, and others for co-creating something greater. Let's start with support souls. These are people who come into your life to help, inspire, or guide you in some way. It could be a teacher who believed in you when no one else did, a friend who showed up exactly when you needed them, or a mentor who guided you through crucial moments. These souls agreed to be your earthly angels, offering support, wisdom, or opportunities at the right time. Challenge souls. But not all contracts are comfortable. There are also challenge souls, people who show up to irritate, confront, or force your growth through conflict. Before labeling these people as bad, understand that they are fulfilling a role you yourself asked for. Your soul knew it needed to develop patience, courage, strength, or some other quality. And these souls agreed to be the resistance against which you would exercise those spiritual muscles. Think of that person who always gets under your skin, who seems to know exactly how to push your buttons. That person may be reflecting parts of yourself that you need to acknowledge and integrate, or they may be forcing you to set healthy boundaries, find your voice, or stand firm in your values. The challenge is not meant to hurt you. It's meant to strengthen you. Stop for a moment and think, is there someone in your life who constantly throws you off balance? Someone who acts like a mirror reflecting what you don't want to see in yourself? Write in the comments just one word describing the quality this person is helping you develop. Patience, boundaries, strength, forgiveness, wisdom, or something of your own. Sometimes just naming the lesson is already half the path to understanding it. And your comment might show someone else what lesson they're going through. Family souls are another important group. These are people with whom you've shared multiple lives and relationships. They may be your parents, siblings, spouses, children, or close friends. With these souls, there is often an immediate familiarity, a feeling of, we've known each other before, because you truly have. These souls often make long-term contracts to meet life after life, working on specific issues or supporting mutual evolution. An interesting phenomenon with family souls is that they sometimes switch roles. Someone who was your parent in one life might be your child in another. A past life spouse could become a sibling. An enemy might now be your greatest ally. This happens because souls want to experience all angles of a relationship, fully understanding the dynamics they are working through together. Soulmates. Soulmates are often misunderstood. Many people think a soulmate is necessarily a perfect romantic partner, but in truth, a soulmate is any soul that shares a similar vibrational frequency with yours and with whom you have important growth contracts. You can have multiple soulmates, and they may appear as friends, family, mentors, or even as challenges. Relationships with soulmates are intense because there is a deep recognition between you. But intense doesn't always mean easy. Often soulmates meet to work through complex issues that require brutal honesty and accelerated growth. They love each other enough to challenge one another to evolve. Twin flame. There is also the concept of a twin flame, a soul that is literally the other half of your own essence. But twin flame encounters are rare and usually happen only when both souls have reached an advanced level of spiritual evolution. If you're wondering whether you've met your twin flame, you probably haven't, because when it happens, there's no doubt. Now, how can you identify what kind of contract you have with the important people in your life? Watch the patterns. With whom do you always learn something meaningful, even if the relationship is difficult? With whom do you feel a connection that goes beyond logic? Who awakens your most intense reactions, whether deep love or extreme irritation? People who appear during significant transitions in your life often have contracts specific to that period. The stranger who gave you a ride exactly when you were reconsidering your career, the person you met in the hospital while facing illness, the neighbor who moved in right next door just as you were going through a breakup. These are not coincidences. They are orchestrated meetings. Children are always soul contracts with specific missions. They don't choose you just to have a family. They choose you because you can teach them something they need to learn, or because they have something to teach you. Often, children are more evolved souls who come to help their parents grow spiritually. Other times, they are souls who need the specific energy that you can provide. Karmic romantic relationships are those where there is an inexplicable magnetic attraction, but also a lot of turbulence. These relationships exist so that you can resolve unfinished issues from past lives. They can be deeply healing relationships, where old patterns are finally transcended, or they can be cycles of repetition until the necessary lessons are learned. One of the most liberating things you can understand is that not all relationships are meant to last forever in this lifetime. Some contracts are short-term. A person enters your life, fulfills their specific role, and then you naturally drift apart. This doesn't mean the relationship failed. It means the contract was successfully completed. It's important to approach all your significant relationships with awareness and gratitude. Even the people who hurt you were, on a soul level, serving your growth. This doesn't mean you should accept mistreatment or remain in toxic relationships. It means you can find the hidden gift in the experience and use that wisdom to make more conscious choices in the future. When you understand that the important people in your life are spiritual partners in your evolutionary journey, your relationships become much richer and more meaningful. You stop taking things so personally and begin to see the bigger picture of the cosmic dance you are all a part of.